What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Enigmatica 6, and today we're going to be freezing a wither and using it to get ether. So there is a ton of risky stuff for us to take care of in today's episode, so I think it should be a lot of fun and hopefully entertaining for you guys, especially if something goes wrong, because I promise I will keep that on camera even if it's humiliating. But before we jump into that, I want to make use of what we set up last episode, which, in case you missed it, is the mob farm right here. It's the mob farm for liquid meat and pink slime, and then the mob farm over here for essence. Now, I have been on here AFK for a very long time. I was also doing a lot of work getting everything set up for today's episode. As you can see, my inventory is very full, and the time in the bottle is still ticking away. It's got about 13 additional hours on it now since last episode, so hopefully that gives you guys a good idea of how long I've been on here. But at some point, these simple black hole tanks, which hold about 1,024 buckets of essence, completely filled up. So both of these are totally full. I do not know when that happened, so they could have filled up within the first couple hours, and then the rest of it was just being basically voided along with all these drops, since this is not hooked up to the refined storage system yet. But either way, it's time to put this stuff to good use. Over here, we also have a ton of liquid meat, which is great. And for some reason, this pink slime is not transferring, even though it should be pushing out this side, and this one's also supposed to be pulling, so I don't really know why it's not working, but either way, we've got a ton of stuff built up here, and I figured it'd be fun to do some enchanting on camera before we jump into all the risky stuff we'll be doing today. So I figured I'm going to whip off all my gear, see what we get from this, and it should be pretty fun because the enchantment factory applies level 30 enchants for about 28,000 millibuckets of essence. And from what I've seen, every time I've used this, the enchants have been way better than level 30 enchants that I would normally get from a regular enchanting table. Now, I could have just been super lucky. I have no idea if these are skewed to be luckier than a normal one or what, but I guess we'll figure out today when we enchant all of this stuff. And I'm just going to slap it in here and see what we get. Obviously, I'm not too concerned about it being perfect or anything like that, since there's a lot better gear we can get. Everything we have right now is pretty basic. Obviously, we got netherite, we got some basic tools down here, although this thing is pretty awesome. This thing has been honed like 10 different times, as you can see. We've got a ton of mining efficiency, mining tier, durability, all of that stuff on this, so I actually love this thing, but the rest of the tools are really nothing super special. So let's do some enchanting and see what we end up with. Okay, so the enchanting extravaganza is done. All the items that I could enchant are totally good to go. And as you guys can see, we actually managed to make a little bit of a dent in the essence that's stored in here. We used about 150 buckets of it, so that's not too bad. I'm sure it'll fill up very quickly, as we can already see it's going up again. But at least we got to put it to some good use, and I'm pretty happy with how things turned out. If I'm to be honest, there's plenty of enchants in here that I don't even know what they do, specifically ones from other mods like Occult Aversion 1, Miner's Fervor, all that stuff, but this thing right here, oh mama, this thing is juiced. At least I think it's juiced. At a certain point, this thing is better than my sword for killing stuff, because my sword did not get good enchants, but this thing ended up with efficiency and unbreaking, which is great. I would have liked it if it got something like Silk Touch too, but either way, it also got sharpness and smite and knockback. So I don't know how it ends up. I don't know if it's a thing with Tetra or what that allows it to end up with enchants like that, since it looks like they're applied to each of the different pieces depending on what it is. So you can see the rod handle has the knockback and the unbreaking, and the smite and sharpness are on the pick. I don't know. It's very strange, but either way, this thing is juiced to the max. So we can now slap on all this gear. Hopefully it'll make me a little bit tankier in case something goes wrong today. And now we're extra shiny too, and our weapons look almost like they're pink because of how it looks with refined obsidian, which is pretty funny. But either way, now we need to get to work on what we're doing in today's episode, the risky stuff, the fun stuff, what you've all been waiting for. And that is going to be taking place in this room over here where we started out the episode. So you guys should let me know what you think of this room, because I don't know if I'm totally sold on the design just yet, but my idea is to put the wither that we're going to be harvesting the ether from right in this area here, and then I'm going to close it up so it's almost like a glass container with a frozen wither inside. So like the movies where they have the aliens stored in these glass tubes and they've got something like formaldehyde in there to preserve them, well, that's what this is going to be like, but instead of it being some preserving liquid, we're going to have a machine that freezes the wither in place. And that's really where we're going to start out today's episode, by using the stasis chamber from Industrial Foregoing, which makes this whole thing possible. Now, like I said earlier, there is a ton of stuff in my inventory we're going to be using for today's episode. This is definitely not a cheap setup, but this one wither setup alone should get us more than enough ether to process all of the ore that we are currently getting from this setup over here, which is using the laser drills with the ore laser base, which is pretty much the exact thing we're going to be using today, except with a fluid laser base. And just to give you guys an idea, if we want to check in the system over here real quick, you can see that diamond chunks have now taken over as the highest item count in my entire system. So if we look, this is the chunk count I have. Obviously it's skewed towards certain ones, but it's not too shabby, and we're going to be able to support the entirety of processing this using just this one wither setup. So you probably won't need more than this, but it's definitely not cheap to do. So we're going to start out by putting down the stasis chamber. Oh my god, that is way too fast. Okay, well, we'll just have to keep that in mind. That thing is, oh my god, I said it earlier, it's juiced, boys. It is juiced to the gills with enchants right now. But we need to put down the stasis chamber and give it some power, because like I said, that is the basis for the entire setup today. And the most critical thing is that we make sure that the working area is correct, because if the wither is not frozen, we're screwed. Because obviously nothing in here is witherproof. I don't know if these framed walls are witherproof, but I'm going to take an educated guess, and I'm going to say no. So, and maybe the glass is too, who knows? Maybe the clear gray stained glass pane with no connected textures, or with connected textures, I should say, and maybe that's witherproof. I don't know, but I'm not looking to test it out. So we need to make sure that this thing is powered and working in the correct area before we put down the wither. And then this should stop it from getting past its initial forming stage, and then we can get all the ether we want from it. So I'm going to put down a quantum entangloporter directly below this, and we're just going to attach it to the, I need to change the name of this and adjust the setup over there, because it's really annoying that I have to go to the melons channel every time I want power, since this is the melon input and power input and output for our generation system. Super dumb. But either way, we're going to have power. We're going to have it outputting on the top. And now this should be getting power. It is. Oh my god. Oh no! It's freezing me in here! Oh my god, I didn't think this through. I didn't think it froze me. Okay, we're free from the clutches of the stasis chamber. Obviously, that wasn't the stupid thing that I thought was going to happen today. I expected it would be the wither getting out, but that's a good start. It doesn't bode well for us with the rest of today's episode, but either way, I didn't think this worked on players. I mean, it makes sense, but I figured it was like the mob slaughter factory or something, or the mob crusher, which only affects like hostile or passive mobs and not the player. But I guess those have the word mob in the name, whereas this doesn't. So maybe if you want to play a prank on your friend, use this thing. But oh my goodness, I was so caught off guard by that. But now we can turn it back on. So let's have it ignore the redstone signal. We're not going to step in there. So we should be good to form the wither in here now. It should be working. Obviously, we were living proof that it's working. It's got power. It's running. Oh my god, I'm trying to run through the checklist because this is so stressful for me. I did make a backup of the world, but I again will show on camera if something stupid happens. So we're just going to put down all the stuff to make the wither, and please don't let this go wrong. Oh my god. Oh no, I stepped in it again! Okay. I placed that down wrong, and I stepped in it again. Okay. Can I get this back? Can I get this back? Okay, I got it back. Okay. Let's, I need to get a good angle on this. Okay. Please. Please work. Oh my god. Okay, okay. Whew. Whew. Oh no, oh my god, I almost broke it. That would have been so bad. Oh my god, that would have been horrible if I broke that. It would have let the wither free. Oh my god, this pick is dangerous. I need to keep that thing away from me. My goodness. Okay. Okay, well the wither's in there now. And I'm kind of annoyed that he's turned that way. Why is he turned that way? You know what? You know what? Man, why does he have to be turned that way? That's so lame. Okay, well, either way, we're going to reform this. There's nothing we can do about it now, other than making a different wither and killing this one, which I'm definitely not going to do right now. We can just close this up. And so we're just going to put down this glass right here, and there he is, clearly perfectly sealed in there with no chance of ever getting out. Now, I'm going to say right now that I am so freaked out that there's going to be some loading thing that causes an issue, and it's loading in, and he loads in, and this thing doesn't right at the start, and all of a sudden the wither is roaming free. So I'm going to make sure that these chunks are loaded at all times, so we can just kind of like come in here, and I think it should already be loaded, but either way, I'm going to make sure that these are loaded too. Just the whole base is loaded at this point, because I'm afraid if something unloads or anything like that, that maybe somehow it'll get out, or if power supply to this stops, obviously it'll get out. So we don't want that. But either way, I think we should be okay, probably, on this. So I think everything should be good to go now, and we're good to start setting up the fluid laser base portion of the setup, which is the final step, and that's what's going to actually get us our ether at, albeit a relatively slow rate, but we'll be going over why it's not actually that slow relative to what we need. It's just slow in comparison to other fluids that you might be harvesting when you're playing in this mod pack. So we're going to come right up here and enjoy not being extremely afraid of using the pick for 1 second, since we're not looking even in the general direction of the wither yet. But if I could get up here, this is where we are going to be setting this up. And this is, I am so afraid of walking around up here, but I need to clear this area out just a little bit. I don't know what happens if items fall in there, and I'm hoping that nothing bad happens. I don't have a ton of experience using the stasis chamber, so the one block that's going to keep us from dying here, but either way, this is where we're going to be putting down the fluid laser base. And I don't believe it needs to have a line of sight down to the wither. It just needs to be above a wither in the block. So anything above this should be fine, but I'm going to put it pretty much right above it. So right where this glowstone is, although I'm curious now if I should put it up one higher so that the glowstone keeps it lit inside there. Maybe that's what we should do. We can try that out and verify that it does in fact work first, since the ore laser base used to need, when it was in Mine Factory Reloaded, if you guys didn't know, it did need to have vision all the way down to where it was mining. Obviously, that's not the case when it got put into Industrial Foregoing. There were changes made, and it makes it a lot easier to work with. There's no more crazy optimized setups where they need to have, the laser drills need to have vision, and the laser bases also need to have vision properly of bedrock and all that stuff. So it's a lot easier, but I want to make sure that the fluid laser base functions the same way. So it's going to be pretty much an identical setup to what we did in the ore generation episode, except it's ether generation. So we're going to put down the fluid laser base right here. And it just occurred to me now that it's all of a sudden going to be very dark up here. So we'll put down a torch there for the time being. And I want to try out just putting down one laser drill and giving it some power to verify that this works. So the laser drill we're going to put down here, check the working area, 3x3 in front of it, so it does in fact encompass the fluid laser base. And if we were to give this thing some juice, then it should start working. So I'm trying to think of where we're probably going to put the quantum entangloporter to start. We're going to run cables all along the top here, so I should just be good to put this down up here and then I'll move it. But we're going to set this, let's get some power going out the bottom, and let's see if this starts going. Okay, so it does. Now, we need a purple laser lens, and if we look at the uses for this, in the fluid laser base, it's going to give us ether. So you need the purple lens. What does it give in here? It gives lead. So nothing fancy when it's in the ore laser base, but when it's in the fluid laser base, it's going to give us ether. So this is critical. You need this. And as you can see, there's no other requirements, but we're going to slap this in there and let this finish. It's very slow because this has no upgrades and it's only one. But the minute we see that this gives us 10 millibuckets of ether, which is what it will get every time, then I'm going to go and I'm going to set up the rest of these just like I did in the ore generation episode. I'm going to totally trick them out with upgrades, and we will see where that leaves us when it comes to the amount of ether that we're actually generating. So there we go. Okay, it didn't give us any. I don't know if that's because this purple lens was not in there to start. So maybe I'll let this go another time and then I'll hop back once we know if it works or not. Okay, so the setup is done. Like I said, it should look very similar to the ore generation setup, but a couple things I want to cover. Apparently, the fluid laser base needs to be directly above the wither, or at least it needed to be for me. So I tested it out. It managed to get some ether when I was doing trial runs, when I moved it down one level so that technically it was in the first placeable block above where the wither was. Even when there was nothing below it, when it was 2 blocks above it, it still wouldn't work. So maybe I had some settings messed up. I don't know, but that's what got it to work. And the laser drills are still in the same spot because they affect a 3x3, so up 1 and down 1 from where they are. And so it was totally fine. Obviously, we could put multiple layers of these even if we wanted to because of that. But now they've got all the wiring they need. And in each one of these, there is a speed tier 2, an efficiency tier 2. So they are cranking through this. They should give this progress very quickly, probably about 1 operation every single second, if my calculations were correct back when I went over the ore generation one. So now all we really need to do is slap down the quantum entangloporter, and it doesn't really matter where we do that. So I'll probably just do it somewhere like right over here. And then we're going to set it again, and we will have it. What side is that even? That should be the front, I would have thought, but okay, it is the front. So it's connected. So now these are going, and this should be getting us ether, and look at that thing go. That's way faster than an operation every second. That is pretty dang quick. But either way, you can see it's not much ether. The only thing is that you do not need much ether because every single ore that you process, every single chunk that you process, which will net you 5 of whatever ore it is or dust, obviously because we're doing 5 times ore processing, which will be next episode using this, it only takes 1 millibucket of ether, meaning that unless we're generating more than 10 chunks for every single operation this does, which we're definitely not, and it would take us a long time to get there, then we're totally fine on ether production. We need to store this somewhere though, so that when IAFK we get a nice backlog, and it's a little bit dark up here, a little bit spooky, with all these freaky noises from the wither, but we're just going to put a simple black hole tank, and we're going to have it pull from the bottom. And the funny thing about ether, if you might have noticed, you won't be able to see it in here because it's such a minuscule amount of the tank, but it actually is upside down. It's like liquid glowstone in that it's at the very top of the storage and fills its way down. So I think that's a little cool added touch. But either way, this room is living proof. Well, it's not living, but it's proof that this thing is destructive. So I totally decimated this room. Some people were saying in my last video that I got all these resources, I should make a beacon to get all these nice enchants. And I'm just going to give you guys an example here. I don't need them now. I have this, okay? And I'm going to regret that because I'm just going to place all these blocks back down, but it like insta-mines everything. So we don't need those anymore. This is wickedly overkill as it is. So maybe we'll upgrade this in the future, but I'm not really seeing a huge need right now because it's actually problematic. I'm sure you guys have experienced this before, but it's too fast. It's actually too fast. We almost just killed ourselves and our base, as we saw on camera from my second screw up of the day when I almost broke the stasis chamber. And I don't want scenarios like that again. So I'm just going to fill in the walls of this room, I guess I'll say. We're never going to come up here again, but it's going to bother me if we just kind of leave it as a total mess. So just, we'll just plug up all these holes that I accidentally created with this overpowered pick. And then we can head down, and I can't even place stuff correctly. We can head down and fill in the rest so that everything is good to go. So I believe, yep, we came up right over here, and we should be good to place down again our cyan terracotta right up there. And it's a little bit dark in there. Not a huge fan. I'm hoping it's not too dark that stuff can spawn, but maybe I'll put in some glowstone on the floor so that doesn't happen, because I would not want stuff to spawn in there and potentially mess it up, and then it would become a pain to have to kill it. So I think this room looks super cool though. I'm going to try and figure out if there's a way that I can turn him. I might have to kill him And I don't know if we can do that while he's in the stasis chamber, or maybe like if one of these can kill him. That might be OP if these can kill him, but maybe there's some way for me to insta-kill him and make another one in there and make sure it's turned the correct way. Again, I don't know why he turned that way. Stupid idiot, ruining everything, clearly. I can't get a good thumbnail for the video now. It should have been like this, but now it's going to have to be like this, and the room is off-center. Who wants that? That's so lame, man. He ruined the thumbnail. If you guys think the thumbnail looks a little bit weird, blame this guy. And also, we need a name. So anytime that I reference the Wither, I can call them by their name. So if you guys want to suggest a name in the comments, whatever name is the most highly upvoted out of all the suggestions is the name that we will go with. So even if it's something really stupid, which I'm going to regret so much, but I will say it, it just can't be anything inappropriate. But anything else, I will name this guy. So let me know. But I think that's going to be it for today, guys. I'm going to be doing an episode next time on the industrial foregoing ore processing, which I might want to put on the walls of this room. I think it might look cool and be thematically correct. But again, I'm not totally sold, so we'll have to wait and see. I also need to get some kind of sound stuff around here to deal with the sound, unless I want to just use the muffler in my inventory again. But there's so many noises coming from around here. Oh my god. But yeah, so next episode we'll be putting the ether and we'll be putting the liquid meat to good use. 5 times ore processing. Should be a ton of fun. It seems really, really strong and overpowered to me with it from what I've seen in the testing I've done. So hopefully you guys will actually be able to put that to good use if you want to in your world, and look forward to that. But again, that's going to be it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on a future one, as I do release them every Monday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will talk to you guys later.